So in this first video, I want to assume that you don't already have a business set up. You're going to be searching for your brand name, checking on Google that it doesn't already exist, looking for domain names, registering social media channels. All of those steps are assuming that you don't have something set up. However, even if you do have something, an established business, there's still steps there that you might not have thought about, which is like verifying your Google My Business, making sure that all your domain names are registered. So you may have the .com but not the .co.uk. Things like that are really important. I would always try and find at least the .com and the .co.uk for whatever brand. Even if it's just a brand for, say, a property development, I would still try and have it there, just so that you've got it covered. So first of all, looking up your name. If you've come up with a name idea, or if you already have a business name, the first thing I would do is go search for that in Google and see what you already have out there if you've got something set up, or see what is out there for the name that you've got, that you've got an idea of using. So if it was going to be, let's say, Davy's Bakeries. This is my cake obsession kicking in now. Okay, well, Davy's Bakeries is a thing. So already I might be thinking, right, well, this is a great idea for me to have a business called Davy's Bakeries. So if I was Davy's Bakeries just now, I could look at how many things I was ranking for. If you take Davy's Bakeries, this is their website. So one wee thing I'm seeing from their website right off the bat is they don't have an SSL certificate here, or at least it's not fully working anyway, so that's something that we could fix right off the bat. And these are things that we can go in more detail when we go over websites. But if I was to copy this address and go back to Google, a wee secret is if you put in site : and then paste that and then search for the domain like that, it will show you everything that is indexed in Google for that site. It appears that the pages are here. I don't know the site well enough to know that that's all the pages, but the site is definitely indexed anyway. Another thing that I noticed if I search Davy's Bakeries is there's this local listing here. Now this is something that we'd recommend that you get sorted anyways. You want to be registered on Google My Business. Now we'll show you how to do that to get your business verified, but that's one of the first things that I'd look at. First of all, check the name. Now if you find a name, if Davy's Bakeries is the thing, or if you're going to go for Davy's Super Cool Cakes, just something that's unlikely to be a problem. Right, so that's cool. So if we're going to, or Davy's Cool Cakes, let's shorten it a wee bit. So Davy's Cool Cakes, looks like we might be okay with that name so far. I would then go, look at Davy's Cool Cakes on Facebook, Instagram. I would be looking in all these channels to see if the name that you're looking for, Davy's Cool Cakes, is already there. Again, if you're established already, this might not be applicable to you, but if you're starting up, search for your name in as many places as you can. So Davy's Cool Cakes seems to be okay. So the first thing I would probably do is look up domain names. And you can buy your domain name anywhere really. It could be GoDaddy, Namecheap, Fast Hosts. There's a whole range of places where you can register your domain name. Hosting is a slightly different deal. Hosting's a bit more important, but where you have your domain name, at this stage it isn't a big deal. Search for Davy's Cool Cakes. Oh, this is names.co.uk, sorry. So you can see daviescoolcakes.co.uk and .com is available. So that's quite cool. But obviously if we'd put Davy's Bakeries in here, you'll see that the .com's gone, but the .co.uk is there now. This is another issue that I see quite a lot, is where a brand currently has a domain name, but they haven't picked up all of the domain names associated with their brand. You don't have to buy every single one, but I would definitely say the .co.uk and the .com, you should definitely pick them up. So you'll see here Davy's Bakeries in London has the .com, but they haven't bought the .co.uk. So as well as having an expired SSL certificate, they don't have their .co.uk domain name. So another thing that I would recommend that they sorted out. If I had Davy's Cool Cakes and I bought the domain name, I would then register at Davy's Cool Cakes for all my social media channels. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok if you're going to be using that as much as you can, and try and keep it the same. That's another wee tip. So if it's at Davy's Cool Cakes, depending on character count, I know Twitter's a little bit different. There's only so many characters you can have, but most of the time your name will fit. So at Davy's Cool Cakes, I would have that everywhere first of all, and then I would register my business. If I searched Davy's Cool Cakes and it wasn't showing up on Google, I'd have to go to Google My Business and enter the details. 9 times out of 10 when you put a company name in, it will come up that it's just not been verified. So for instance, if we go to Davy's Bakeries again, you'll see here there's images there already. Now they've been added by the owner, you can see here. So that means that someone has verified this address. Now what that allows them to do is respond to reviews, add content, even add posts. There is a post section, and that's a really powerful thing because obviously it's helping your search. Now a step beyond this, after you've kind of done these initial steps, would be what we call local citations, and that would be things like putting Davy's Bakeries into Yale.com, so Davy's Bakeries here, or Thompson Local, and so many others. There's tons. So you can see here Davy's Family Bakery. It might not be the same thing. So if it's not, you would, let's for instance have a look at this. So if this wasn't the right one, you can actually go in and submit a listing to them, and you can do that with every single online directory. Now that will help, and we'll talk about that more when we get talking more about websites and how these local citations can help your site be found, especially if someone's searching for your name. So by this stage you should have your domain names registered, your social media channels registered, and your Google My Business listing verified. So meaning that you'll get a postcard normally sent to the address for your business to do that. Once that's set up, that's you sort of on your way to the very initial steps of your digital footprint. The next part would be getting your website online, adding content to your social media channels, looking at what channels will work and won't work for you. These are all things that we'll cover in the next videos, but I hope there was something in here that provided some sort of value. Again, if there's anything specific you'd like to learn about, please just leave me a comment or send me a message and I'll do my best to cover that in the next videos.